Hi, everybody. Welcome to What You Need to Know. I am Sybil Wilkes, and it is Tuesday. Tomorrow is tax day for those who are so inclined. If you haven't already, please do. It is the 15th tomorrow. Today, we are anticipating the results of some runoff elections, both in the states of Alabama as well as Texas. And Maine is also having a primary election today. And so we'll have some things to talk about tomorrow, obviously, in terms of that. Hey, Dominique.
Hey, Sib, how you doing?
I'm good, sweetie. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain, Sib.
You're looking good. How's
Thank
life
you.
treating you on the quarantine side?
Sib, I can't complain. I'm blessed. It's treating me pretty good. So I'm here,
Dom, you look thinner.
I'm getting ready to fast, Sib. So before I
Oh,
fast, since I do the lemonade cleans,
uh-huh.
I eat less to prepare
Okay.
myself and prepare my mind for what I'm getting ready to do. So I'm just not eating as much as I was eating. So I'm
Gotcha.
just eating less so I can get to the place of not eating at all for a couple of weeks during the
Oh,
fast. So that's all I'm trying to do.
and you're not new to fasting, or fasting isn't new to you. You've done this over and over for a while, haven't you?
I have, but I haven't done it in a long time. So I'm like, oh my God. But I'm doing little things to get ready because it's a lot not to eat for 10 days, especially in quarantine. That's
Yeah,
my big thing, see,
yeah.
because usually when I'm not doing it, I'm moving around. So the days are going fast and fast. But when you're really in the house for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a lot. And you
Yeah.
smelling everybody food around you, restaurants around you. It's kind of hard.
Oh, I wish you luck. So what's the official date of your start of your fast?
I think I'm gonna start like August the 1st.
Oh, okay, okay. So you're gonna do the lemonade cleanse for another couple of weeks then.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the lemonade cleanse for like August the 1st for probably like 2 weeks, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. At the least
Wow.
I'm gonna do is 14 days. I don't know if I'm gonna do more, but the least I'm gonna do is 14 days. So I'm gonna start there and I'm gonna see from there if I can go back. You know how I used to go hard, see if I'm trying to go back there.
You gonna do it. I wish you luck because I know this is not easy, especially as you say, where you're in the house and you don't have all of the normal activities to occupy your mind and to keep you off of
Keep
the
you off
thought of.
not eating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Especially
that's
when you
tough.
a chunky monkey like me. You love got to get it in.
So
Fat girl.
Dom, we want to talk about what's going on and also what's going on with you in terms of work and things like that as more and more people are getting back into the club in some form or fashion. And so we'll talk about that. Want to talk about a lot of the situations going on and what we had in the What You Need to Know newsletter today. This is especially true for folks who may not know about our newsletter. Want to let you know that we do have this newsletter, What You Need to Know, and every Monday through Friday, we have these stories that we have curated and want to share with you. So if you'd like to be a part of this, please go to sybilwilkes.com and sign up. Give us your name and your email address, and we will make you a part of the What You Need to Know news crew. And if you have stories, things you want to share with us, Dominique, I also want to talk about something that you had on your that you posted today, and so we will talk about that as well. Now, here is just when you think that people get it about um, the use of the chokehold, the use of a knee in the neck of someone. We have this story coming out of Allentown, Pennsylvania, Lehigh County, and a video that was taken on Saturday by someone just passing by, saw policemen, police officers plural, take down a man. And at one point in showing this video, it was only about 20 seconds of it, they showed that this police officer had his knee in the neck of a man who appears to be a black man. And so questions have arisen. They had Black Black Lives Matter in Lehigh Valley. And this is the organization, and they had protests as well as calls for investigation. The police say they're investigating, as well as the Lehigh County District Attorney's Office. So, Don, 7 weeks after George Floyd, you would think that every effort would be made, but this isn't the first story we've heard about officers since George Floyd putting their knees in the necks of people that they're trying to take down, suspects, if you will. And yet it continues, and the message is not getting across.
I don't think the message is, see? I mean, I think it's even weird that you have to know in this era of videotape as well. Like they're not even recognizing that they're being videotaped. I think it's just deeply rooted in who they are. And people always say they are good officers. We don't see a lot of examples of those officers. We're not seeing a lot of examples of the good officers. So we can only speak to the officers that we are really seeing. And it's just not getting through. I think we have a big problem in law enforcement with white supremacy. Yeah. And until the element is rooted out, it's going to be this way. Because when you've had power for so long, and you've been doing this for so long, and you've been above the law for so long, and nothing has really happened to you, you know, that's ingrained in you, just like racism is ingrained in people.
Right.
So different things are ingrained in you. So they don't care about that. All they care about is I'm doing my job, and this is the way I do my job with these particular people. Because you can clearly see they police our counterparts differently, you know, but I don't think they get it, or either they don't get it or they don't care. I'm going to choose to say it's not resonating yet. I don't want to hope that they don't care, because that's just the way it looks. Just like it's like the officer shot Rayshard Brooks. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Everything that's been going on, people are protesting as we speak, and you open fire in the middle with people that could have gotten shot. It's people in the drive-through of a Wendy's trying to get their food, and you open fire for this. Yeah. So it's resonating, and they're fighting again, or it's not resonating. And I also feel like a lot of them feel like they're being picked on. But I don't think you're being picked on. At some point, you have to look at your actions. The people do not have this disagreement with you just because they don't like the police. That's not true. It's your behavior that you have to check. If you don't check your behavior, I'm looking for the officer to come out and say it. I want the officers to come out and say, okay, look, we got a problem here. I'm looking for those officers. Yeah. I guess you consider those the good officers. We got a problem here. We need to go in these communities and talk to these communities and see what's going on, instead of it being us against them. How we gonna get ahead as long as it's us against them? Yeah, because we're not against you. We want to be treated fairly and treated like human beings. That's it.
But Dominique, it just seems like every day there is something in which these things are coming out, and as you say, it's not, we don't hate all police, but we do hate the behavior of these police that are targeting Black folks, that are seeking to embarrass Black folks, as in that case that you pointed out on your Instagram page. And in this case, here was a man who was said to be staggering and vomiting as he was walking near a hospital. They said that they were trying to come to the man's aid along with some hospital employees, and the man was resistant. As a matter of fact, he tried to spit in the faces of these people that they say were trying to help him. And as they were trying to get him down to the ground and put a spit guard over his face, they say that's when it happened, that this police officer moved from the back to the neck with the knee on the neck. And subsequently, they restrained him. They took him into the hospital where he was treated and released. So there is going to be an investigation into this. And one of the first protests in Allentown, Pennsylvania happened that night by the Black Lives Matter local organization. And the police chief and the mayor were on the scene. But it just, and here's the last part of this, Dom. Earlier this month, they had just published once again the policies of the police department, which banned the chokehold as well as the knee on the neck, which is exactly what happened here Saturday night in Pennsylvania.
I don't think they're necessarily listening to the officials of their state.
You're right about that.
They're listening to more who's in charge of their unions. I think they're listening to the people in charge of their unions, because I saw a video where one of the heads of a union or something was speaking, and all he could talk about and speak about was how people was looking down on them, making them feel ashamed of their jobs. You're missing it. Right. You're missing the whole thing. You know, this excessive force for no reason at all. And I don't, and another thing that I don't like is when they arrest people, this whole notion of I can handcuff you and I don't need to tell you why. What is that about? Yeah. And then when you're not, you say you're not gonna handcuff me. Now you're
resisting.
Why would you not? You're not even telling me why are you handcuffing me? Well, you don't have to handcuff me to talk to me.
Right.
While we this out and talk this out. So what am I in handcuffs for? Because you're under arrest? No, I'm not under arrest. You're angry because you don't feel like you're getting the respect that you deserve. And
but neither am I, right?
Yeah, both ways. Absolutely, Sid. Absolutely. So they're just not listening to the heads of their states. They're listening to the police unions. They're listening to what happens on the inside of their organization. Mm-hmm. Whatever the states say, they like, whatever. This is what we do on the inside of this organization. And I understand when they say, oh, the good police, they'll get fired if they speak up. Well, that's a problem. Yeah. Well, that's a problem in itself. Yeah. So it's a problem all the way around. It has to be restructured. Yeah. And how do you restructure a police department, or how do you restructure the whole policing in this country if they feel like it's us against them? That's not happening.
It really is. And I don't know about, when you grew up in the DC area, in the DMV, but in Chicago, the police union really has more like a mob mentality than, of taking care of their own. And I mean, even to the point where the way that police officers of color are treated as opposed to the white police officers within the union, right? And so, like I said, I'm not sure about other cities, but definitely in my city, growing up, it was a lot of that.
Well, in growing up in DC with the population of Black people, we saw a lot of Black officers. Mm-hmm. That was the first thing. So I always saw Black officers. There were white officers, but they were a complete minority. But mm-hmm. Another thing that we also had when I was growing up was an officer called Officer Friendly.
Yeah.
An officer friendly that would come to the schools, and he would assure you that we're here for you. We're here for the community, and we're doing these kinds of things. They even had a band, the side-by-side band, with the police. They would bring the bands to the school, and they made you feel warm and fuzzy about the police. Where are they?
Yeah.
What is that about? And not that there haven't been problems in DC and in the DMV area over the years with the police and all of that, but I just haven't seen anything like what I'm seeing now.
Yeah. And then there are police actions that individuals are taking, and I'm moving on to the next story because the Karens are going crazy. The Karens and the Kens, or whatever you want to call them, they're partners. We have the story of a Karen in Michigan who was passing, a white woman was passing a Black woman and her teenage daughter coming, out of a restaurant, Chipotle restaurant, right, in the Detroit area. Not, and from what I understand, not in Detroit proper, but in the area. And the white woman bumped into the Black girl, the teenager, and the mother was taking her to task for this, saying, you owe my daughter an apology. Just say, excuse me, something, right? And they went back and forth to the parking lot. The white woman got into the car with her husband, and they were still going back at each other. She said she felt intimidated as they were, and that she was being surrounded by all these people as they were calling her racist and ignorant. They're going to back out of the parking space, and the mother hit the car because her daughter was behind the car and didn't want her daughter to get hit. And she said that's when she felt as though she might not make it home that night to her family. The white woman did, Jillian, but Karen, for all intents and purposes. And she now she did this, Dominique, in one fell swoop. She took out her concealed weapon, her gun, and loaded it. Put a bullet in the chamber. And so in my mind, Dom, that's when it took on a whole different light. I get you get nervous, and just having a gun shows, I don't want no mess.
Right.
You put the bullet in there, and
right.
she's and now that she is crying because she and her husband were charged with felony assault, and they each lost their individual jobs.
Right.
So now she's gone on this apology tour and telling people how sorry she is, and she's not that kind of person. We hear that yada 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 a lot. But she said that, and her attorney says that she was a victim of racial intimidation.
Racial intimidation?
Yes. This Black woman and her daughter and whoever the other family members were, they were intimidating, according to this couple, Karen and Ken Worcesterberg, and so that's why she pulled the gun and put a bullet inside.
No, they were the perpetrators of racial intimidation.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Nothing happened. Nothing happened for her to feel the need to pull her weapon.
Right.
Her life was not in danger. You're in your vehicle. Somebody behind your vehicle, they hit your glass. You're still in control, because if you hit your accelerator, you're going to run them over. There was no need to get out your car. You could have hollered out the car, get from behind my car.
Mm-hmm.
People say whatever words they want to say. But see, this administration stokes that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she on here apologizing. This is what I don't understand. You on here listening and following what a president says and all this race bait he does. But when you lose your job and you on here apologizing, in all of these cases, I have not seen Donald Trump show up one time. I'm waiting for him to walk in one of the video frames when you getting fired from your job.
You're fired. You know I mean, he was used to saying that for a long time as a television star.
Right. You letting this racist ideology and these myths that you may have been raised with, because I think we all racist. That's what this country taught everybody. So we all have racist things about us against the opposite race. But that you around here stoking all this racism and this white power and all this, but you're losing in the end. I don't get the logic behind it.
I don't either, Don.
Now you sorry. You don't have a job. Now you're out. Everybody know how you feel. It was not a thing happening to you. And sometimes when you see the video, it click in. And they start trying to walk it back. So your husband got back in the van. Because he was getting ready to go all the way bad.
He's like, I know this woman. This is not going to end well.
Like she the police. He said it's going all the way bad. Yes, it's going all the way bad. It's no reason for you to act that way.
And Dom, somebody has sent us a message saying that her lawyer is Black. But Karen's lawyer is Black. So that's it is Detroit. So but it also seems a very concentrated effort on her part to show that, she I love Black people. My lawyer is Black, and
all I can say to that is this coronavirus brother trying to make $1. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Go home and like say, she was what? What you say she was?
Right.
What was she, baby? What was she? Let it go. I ain't got time for this. Heat up the steak. Let it go. I ain't got time for this.
And he's determined not to make Ben Crump get all the business. So he's like, I gotta take this.
They said, no, Ben Crump not getting it like that because he gets it in.
Okay.
Dawn, this is what we want to say, Dawn. Dawn, listen. That took place in the DA, they're gonna have to bring down charges, Don. I said, that's right.
That's my Ben Crump. Yes.
I love Ben Crump.
So Dom, you also mentioned Donald Trump, and something that I heard today was somebody was asking Donald Trump today about what were his thoughts about why so many Black people were being killed by police. And he said, do you know what his response might have been, Dom?
See, if I can't even tell what
He
this
said,
man.
well, let me just say to you and to others.
You know, he might have said, that's not true. Police aren't killing so many Black people. That's just not true.
And they're killing white people too.
Oh, okay.
White people are getting killed, but it's like that goes back to Charlottesville. You know, they're good people.
On both sides. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Hey, Donald Trump. He just got finished doing a press conference in the Rose Garden. People dying all over the country, coronavirus cities.
Not talking about it.
At all.
He's campaigning.
He campaigning. People sick. You know, we in the same boat we was in March, and he up there campaigning. I can't figure out, he running off a piece of paper about Joe Biden. I want him as the president of the United States. Run your list off. I want to hear your list. Your duty, though. I hear what you're saying about Joe Biden, but he's just the vice president. I want the president of the United. Run your list off. Run everything you're going to do to change things.
And Dom, what do you think about the fact that he probably in his head, or at least with his administration, he is in the midst of two campaigns, because one campaign he's running against Joe Biden, and the other campaign, I submit, he is running against Dr. Fauci, because Dr. Fauci's popularity is like twice as high as his is. You know, Donald Trump's is probably in the 30s somewhere, and Fauci's is like 60 to 70% popularity. And so he doesn't want to acknowledge all of the wrongs that this administration has done. So he's trying to, take people's attention away from coronavirus. And how do you do that, Dominique, in a world where tens of thousands of people are being diagnosed a day in some states? A day, 15,000 people in Florida over the weekend, one day.
So I don't know. I don't understand anything about him. I don't think he has logic at all. So I don't understand. Okay, I understand your way is that's one thing the Republicans do. They get on a page. They all can get on one page together. It can be the biggest lie ever told in the whole country, but they gonna run that lie and they gonna make some lying facts to go with it, and they gonna run it until you try. It's embedded in your head and you believe it. That's one thing they're good at. Ooh, they can spin something.
They keep
running it. So it's not gonna work this time, no.
But and he tweets and retweets the most ridiculous things. Like yesterday's big thing was he retweeted what Chuck Woolery has to say, who is
2 and 2. We be back in 2 and 2. See, 2 and 2. See, we be back in 2 and 2.
He retweeted what Chuck Woolery, who is a game show host from, for the last 75 years, as well as a big conspiracy theorist. So, that was the big thing. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just run your race. But what all of this, I hope, is doing for people is making them more determined than ever to register and to vote.
You have to.
Today we have two very important, actually 3 states involved in primary elections today. Maine is having their primary election for the first time. In Alabama and in Texas, there are the runoff elections from the primary from a few weeks ago. So in Maine, now, do you know the name Susan Collins? She's a senator from Maine. She's a Republican. And she was one who was kind of vacillating during the whole impeachment trial, and she has kind of a wavery, kind of shaky voice, and she is she couldn't really quite figure out where she was standing in all of this, and the Democrats were hoping that she would come over to the side of right for them as far as they're concerned, along with someone like Mitt Romney, and vote against Donald Trump. She did not, and she was trying to keep that Republican support. But now the Republican support is, and especially in some of these Senate races, is really falling. In Maine, they have a number of people who are running for the Democratic nomination, and whoever wins that race today will go up against Susan Collins in the fall for the U.S. Senate. And all of these Senate races are playing a big part in what the next president will have in the House and the Senate. They are really hoping, against hope, that they will be able to flip the Senate and get the and get back to a Democratic majority. So that's Maine. In Texas, our friend Royce West, who's Tom Joyner's closest friend, state senator, is in a runoff election against a white woman who is a former Air Force pilot. And so her name is MJ Hagar. And Royce, she did not get 50% of the vote. And so she did lead Royce in the original primary election, but she didn't get 50% of the vote. No one did. So those two are going up against her. She beat him by about 7 percentage points, but they're hoping that as a result of campaigning these last few weeks, that there will be a difference there. And they will go up against John Cornyn, who is a longtime Republican supporter of Donald Trump. But the state of Texas is really interesting, and they're hoping to make some big changes.
Because at some point, you just have to look at it, the situation for what it is. This is just out of control. You know, even if you like him for his gift, Donald Trump, for his gift to gab, for his racist ideology, even though people say he's not a racist. Okay, well, if you say racist things, I'm gonna have to believe you might be a racist. You're a racist.
Right.
Racist stuff. I don't know how you're not racist, but if that's the way you view it, okay, I'm not mad at you. But yeah, I'm gonna tell you what gave me some hope, Sib. I don't know what city it was, and I saw a video. It's an older white couple, and they had signs that said Black Lives Matter, and I mean like 70s older. So I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. And they interviewed the older white woman, and they said, asked her about voting, and she said, I did vote for Donald Trump. She said
in 16?
In 16. She said, I did vote for Donald Trump in 16. She said, and I by no means am I a fan of Joe Biden. Not at all. She said, but I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. She said, because this time I'm voting for sanity. She said, I'm voting for sanity this time. She said, well, maybe, you know, I have this thing said, if one person say it, 1,000 people say it.
Right,
so
right.
There's thousands and thousands and thousands more like her, because she gave me hope. She said, but this time, I see what I'm dealing with now. You know what I mean? So I just think I'm hopeful that people will begin to see it's just not right. It's not right anymore. We're in the middle of a pandemic. He's still talking about President Obama. Okay, you can talk about President Obama all you want. You can talk about H1N1, that's fine. You can talk about SARS. But when you talk about those things, please include the fact that the economy was not shut down during those things. Please include the fact that people were still going to work, and that no one was wearing a mask, and that no one was standing 6 feet apart, and you can't even whisper in somebody's ear no more because it might be dangerous getting too close in a person's face. So please include those things. It's not that you're going through a pandemic, it's the way you're handling it, dude.
And Dominique, please mention the fact that the former president, who you like to bash, and his staff have developed an office to deal with a pandemic that you cleared out within your first year in the White House. Let's talk about that they had developed a department, and it was in the White House, and you cleared that out and had nothing when this came about, and they told you that something was going to happen.
Absolutely. And they just show, I just saw a clip of former President Obama talking about this might happen. This might be coming. So you cleared all his people out because you're on this mission because you feel so inferior to this man. I mean, he is living in Donald Trump's head.
He really is.
Free. He just living in his head. And you cleared out everything. Okay, I don't care if you didn't use his people, but can you replace it with something?
Right.
Like,
right.
You know the history of this country at all. If you can talk about H1N1 and SARS, you know it's a possibility.
Yeah.
So now people, it's just nuts. So I'm just hopeful. I really hope that people will vote, and I'm hopeful that they make the right choices. And like the older white woman said, you're gonna have to vote for sanity. If you gotta work from this, she said, I'm voting for sanity.
Wow, God bless her.
Out of control, these Karens, and they get to screaming, and then they get to screaming all loud. And you like, calm down, what is wrong? And somebody got to tell the Karens and stuff too, that they gotta, reconnect in their minds. This not the civil rights era.
Yeah.
These people swinging now. I don't even know. They're not even looking at the old footage. What in the world? How many losses you gonna take? I mean, do you just get beat up and punched on for no reason at your own accord?
Right.
Cut it out.
Right.
Mind your business. Stop walking up on people asking them to show you credentials and what you doing here.
And you don't live here. You shouldn't be exercising here. You shouldn't be selling water here. You should. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. You shouldn't be telling me I should be putting my dog on a leash in an area where the sign says dogs must be on a leash. You know what I mean?
I feel about the way he handled that situation, Christian Cooper.
You know what, Dom? I think that he thought that he had made his point, and she had, after all, had lost her job and had become the face for that time period of the Karens, and so he thought that was enough. I think I would have pursued, and I would have testified. I think. But I can understand where he's like, I just want to go away, and we've made our points.
His sister came out on the griot trying to. Did you see that when she was trying to defend her brother and saying that's not his experience and different things of that nature. That's not his experience, and in so many words, they're working with him trying to get him, And I always, I'm quick with it at the mouth, Sid.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but when Don interviewed him, and after his interview, I said, "Oh, here we go." I kind of had a feel he was too friendly right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was too friendly. When he was talking, well, I don't know if she thinks that and this. I said, "Oh, here we go." My homegirl like, "Don't do him like that." I said, "He just wait. He's missing the moment." His sister.
Dom, and even when he had the opportunity to put the video up, it was his sister that did that, right? She's the one that posted that video, wasn't it?
I think she did, and she spoke on his behalf, which was good. That's her brother, so people will come down on her brother, but her brother has to understand that had the NYPD came in there with this,
God, yes.
It could have become very deadly. I don't know how he's not really
could have.
Even if he's never experienced any of these things, you still got to some way get yourself to be connected and say, yeah, this is wrong.
Yeah. Jay Farrow, remember not too long ago when he said for the very first time, and he had experienced this with the police, and he was Jay Farrow, and they didn't recognize him, and the way that they were coming at him. And a lot of our young people have lived these lives and not have these experiences that people of their age in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world have experienced police brutality like this. But by the same token, just because you haven't experienced it doesn't mean that you cannot identify with these people and know what could have happened.
And
I could have been very bad.
I don't understand that part, because I'm like, okay, I have never, it never happened to me, but I clearly can identify and see where it's wrong and what's
Yeah.
happening here, that she needs to be held accountable. So the next time she uses that privilege that'll cause a Black man to die,
Yeah.
needs to understand that's just not right. You
Right.
know, that's not right. So
I'm
I
with
hope
you. I'm with
cool.
you. Yeah,
Get
it'll
some
be
better
interesting.
understanding.
And
I'm hoping.
Dom, and also this happened in the morning of Memorial Day, and that night is when George Floyd was killed.
Mhm.
So just think about what happened in one part of the country in the morning, and what could have happened, but what did happen later that day, that night, in the
Mhm.
middle of the country. And it's just the juxtaposition of it all, and the way that things have changed over that period of time since that Memorial Day is just, it's mind boggling, but does
It
not,
really changed.
but it does not stop us from thinking about the coulda, woulda, shouldas, and be mindful of that. I got to go back on a couple of things. First of all, someone did message in and say, for the record, the situation did not happen in Detroit. It was in Orion Township, about 40 miles from Detroit. So I said the
It's
Detroit
suburb.
area. Okay, yeah. So no, thank you for that. And secondly, one other election I do want to make mention of today. That is the runoff in Alabama with Jeff Sessions. Now, Jeff Sessions was the senator from Alabama. He was an early supporter of Donald Trump before a lot of the politicians got on the Trump train. Jeff Sessions was probably the first passenger on the Trump train. He eventually was invited by Donald Trump to become the Attorney General of the United States. So he gave up his position as United States Senator and became the Trump administration's Attorney General. So that's what led to the transition in politics in Alabama, where a Democrat, Doug Jones, won in the very important election that took place in December of 2017, in which Doug Jones flipped that seat and became, for the first time in almost 25 years, that seat was held by a Democrat. It changed to a Democratic position. So now he will go through his first full election. That was a special election. He'll go through it. So now they're trying to determine who is going to be the Republican representative. And Jeff Sessions wants his old job back because he got fired from the Trump administration because he would not follow through and represent the president in the whole collusion trial and regarding the Russians. So he is now running for this nomination. He's in a runoff against the former football coach, Tommy Tuberville. And guess who Donald Trump is not endorsing?
Yeah, yeah. And see, and you know what, Jeff Sessions, he's the worst guy. He can't do the job. He is just not in his right mind. He'll mess everything up. You gotta go with Tuberville.
and so Donald Trump isn't so much, I don't think he's so much in love with Tommy Tuberville, is that he really hates Jeff Sessions that much. And so, but it's going to be interesting to see how Republicans follow along, and if they are still feeling the love for Donald Trump and voting for Tommy Tuberville, or if they're not feeling Donald Trump so much and voting for Jeff Sessions in this race. And as I said, whoever wins this runoff will go and run against Doug Jones, who is the Democrat representing the state of Alabama in the United States Senate.
The last thing you want right now is a Donald Trump endorsement. I would have told them, call him and don't say my name. Give me a fighting chance. Mess my whole thing up. Please.
Right?
They're going to be like, no.
Dominique, I want to talk about, and do you have military in your family? Because I have some military in my family, but not a lot.
My cousin was in the military. My cousin's retired now. I have some military retired in my family.
So this is a really good story, and you know, we have enough things going on, but just want to give a salute to Madeline. I believe the pronunciation of her name is Sweigel. If it is wrong, I apologize, and if you can correct me. But it's Madeline Sweigel, and she becomes the first Black female fighter pilot.
Oh, congratulations.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah. So the Navy recently announced this as Lieutenant JG, junior grade. Madeline Sweigel becomes the first Black female tactical fighter pilot, and she'll get her wings of gold later this month. And I think that's just awesome.
Oh, that's good though. Congratulations.
Yeah, a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy. And that is just really cool. And a lot of people coming out and supporting her. So, Dominique, I also want to talk to you about, because our friend Damon Williams recently, this past weekend, opened up Riddles, his comedy club in the suburbs of Chicago. And other people have, as you know, Guy Torrey has been one who's gone out and has performed, and others that we, well, of course, DL, and we know what happened there, you know, in Dallas and then falling out in Nashville. How are you feeling about it? Just want to take the temperature with you. How are you feeling about going out there at this point?
I'm nervous, man, because of course you don't want to get sick, but I'm always asking about their safety precautions. You know, I'm a germaphobe anyway, way before coronavirus.
Man, so, Dom was the wipe it down queen.
People like they can't wear masks on the plane. I've been wearing my mask on the plane because of recycled air. I've been wiping down the alcohol.
You and John Murray were two people that always did that, but way before.
So I am nervous about it though, because I don't know, anytime, I don't want to be sick anytime you can catch a virus and anything.
Right.
I'm going to go to work. I go to work next month. So
you're going to be where in August?
In Philly, at the Punchline in
Philadelphia. Okay.
Usually at the Punchline in Philadelphia. And then after I leave there, I'm going to do a one-nighter in Houston. Now that all depends on what the numbers are. I've been talking back and forth with, if their numbers are really high, I'm not going in there. And my booking agent has already let them know, look, if it don't look right down there, we can't come in there. We have to do something different. We're not coming in there. But so I'm gonna do it. I think I've been to this club before. The way this club is set up so far, I don't know all the precautions, but we find out daily what they're doing. The way this club is set up so far, I think if they move back from the stage, because I'm really into that. You know, I'm really hands-on with it. I'm gonna be up there a whole hour with my mouth open. Right. Right. With people laughing. So I need to know that it's some kind of separation, or I need to feel like, okay, I'm not gonna catch coronavirus easily. When we talk about how I access the club, you know, how I get in. I wear my mask, I'm down with the whole thing. So I'll probably just keep my mask on until I go up, get a little touch-up makeup, go do the show, and then after that, you know, just leave. So I'm nervous, but I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna try. It's my career. This is appearing in some ways to be our new normal. Yeah. I think it was Guy that told me that he was even taking his own mic with him. I can understand that. Yeah. That's a good idea. I do have a mic, and I might take my own mic as well, because I don't want to talk behind other people. Like I'm even taking my own. I'm going to cook while I'm there, so I'm carrying my whole hot plate set up. You gonna do Patti LaBelle? Yeah. It's like you might as well put on Cadillac Records when he was in there frying chicken. Right. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. We had that chicken going because I'm not. I love that movie. I have to be going to different places and eating out. I do want to eat out. I just haven't got that comfortable yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and especially in Philly, God, they got great restaurants there. You just want to, but you got to be careful. Look, listen to this fat girl. And I already, before this broke out, I was like, ooh, when I go to Philly, I'm going to this Big Dave's cheese steak. Okay. Chicken cheese steak. Yeah, so, man. Yeah, so they got great food. I mean, but I haven't eaten out since the whole thing started. I've been cooking, you know. Yeah. So I haven't been eating out. So I'm working on, I'm probably not gonna be eating that much anyway, because I'm gonna be going off of my fast. So that's gonna be good. That's gonna be a good thing for me. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna see. And if the numbers look good in Philly and they give us the right precautions and stuff, we're gonna go work it out because I gotta go to work. This is the new normal. And I was talking to my mother about it, and I've been out here a long time. You know, I haven't been sick. As a matter of fact, in the way I help my mind too, Sid, is I'm like, okay, before my last time working, before we got shut down, I was in Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
So we got shut down shortly after that, which in my mind lets me know that all those hands I shook through all those shows, somebody had coronavirus.
Yeah.
In my J. Anthony Brown voice, you're not gonna tell me one Negro ain't had coronavirus. You know what I mean? Somebody, the virus was already moving at that point. We clear on that. You know, we already clear on that. So that helps my mind. And then my mother's like, you gotta pray. You can't live in fear like that. And if this is what's going on, so I'm nervous, but I'm gonna try it and I'm gonna keep you updated, see, because I'm gonna go to work and see.
So let me ask you this, because they are starting to come out with some information about the vaccine. They've had some people who have, they had a small sampling of people who volunteered for the vaccine of various levels. And talking about the reaction to the people that they had, the physical reactions they had. Would you ever consider being a part of a vaccine study for coronavirus?
See.
You're like, who else is in this house? Because I thought I was here alone. I know she's not talking to me.
It must be somebody in the back, see?
I hear you. I'm just curious because in this anti-vaccine way of life that so many people are part of, I'm just wondering how agreeable people would be to be a guinea pig, to be a part of a study for the vaccine and something that has just changed our world. You know what I mean? I don't know that I would, but I'm just really curious as to other people who might. So
see, I think that I don't want to do that. I don't trust that.
Yeah.
You know,
and especially for Black people, because here's the other thing, Dom, we are, and we know this from other studies, our bodies are different. The way that we respond to the coronavirus, as well as to other diseases, and our genetic makeup is so much different. But we do need people to be a part of this vaccine study. And I'm wondering, with our history, with the Tuskegee experiment and all of that, and all the other things that we've gone through, and you know, doctors back in the 1700s and 1800s using Black women in order to improve his surgical skills and things like that. I'm just wondering how likely people are to volunteer for something like that.
Christian Cooper, they should ask him. He might do it.
Great callback.
That was good.
That was a great callback.
That's why he'll sign up.
Okay, you're absolutely right.
That's two.
Okay.
Probably do it. That's two. I'm not. I think about the Tuskegee Airmen, and in the climate that we living in, where you don't know what's going on, I'm gonna take my chances.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Take care of my health and do those.
And you got to take care of yourself. Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to talk to you next time, because we are running out of time, but I just want this on the docket for next time we talk. And sending your kids back to school, because you are a part of that with your nephew, and going back to college and being on a football team and things like that. So I do want to talk about that with you the next time. Before we go, someone has mentioned that Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been hospitalized again today. And they are looking at a possible infection. And so prayers out to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who is just, God bless her. Holding
that lady's a soldier right there.
She really is, man.
Ooh, she like a Timex watch. She taking lip and it keeps on
right ticking. On ticking. Yeah, for real.
She gonna fight this off too. She'll be back.
Yeah. Supreme Court justice, and none of them got anything on her. She's amazing.
No.
So we appreciate her and all that she does and puts up with in order to stay on that court till the time is right. All right, Dom, I love you. I appreciate you. We're gonna keep in touch with you, especially as you get closer to your appearance in Philadelphia. And
Okay.
give my love to your mom. I hope she was watching today because you know
So
I love
good.
all your peeps. And I
Yeah.
will talk to you soon. And be careful. Continue to be safe.
Are you too, Sid? Love you, Sid.
I love you too, darling. Thank you all so much for being a part today. And reminder, what you need to know newsletter is in your email box when you go to sybilwilkes.com, sign up, and we'll have it there for you Monday through Friday mornings, first thing as you start your day. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is Wednesday, Stephen Hill Day. And that's another thing I didn't talk to Dominique about, and that's about her beloved Washington football team. But we'll talk about that tomorrow with Stephen Hill and changing of the name. You all have a great evening. Go out there and be good to each other. And if you haven't gotten in line to vote, run. And we will see you all later. Thanks so much. Have a good one.